How many planes have to fall off the sky for y'all to get pissed? Dog, this is scary. It hasn't even been 2 months. Has it been a month?
Welcome back to the channel. So Americans have been paranoid over these plane incidents. I personally feel like car accidents are still very deadly and happening a lot, but people are not talking about that as much, but focused on what the media is pushing. So let's look at what everyone has to say, and y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments.
I'm eating my lunch and my buddy calls me up and he says, "Did you hear about the mid-air collision?" I go, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Today?" He goes, "Yeah, in Arizona, 2 planes crashed midair." I'm like, you got to be kidding. This is the first time in my life that, I just don't think I'm gonna fly. I don't think our government has things safe enough for me to fly. And I've never even thought of, have you ever even thought about that before? I've never had that be a thought in my head. But with Donald Trump in office and planes now just one after another what is going on?
Holy crap, what the fuck is going on? 2 small planes collide at the Marana Airport in Arizona. I used to live in Arizona. Marana is a little dink town, and the airport is a regional airport. It's a very small airport. They don't have a gazillion planes flying in and out. 2 planes, they got the whole sky to fly. No, let's just collide with each other. What the hell is going on?
Look, man, I'm about to put my tinfoil hat on, okay? Before these current events, I haven't used it in a while. I retired that, but I really think these people crashing these planes to keep us stuck in this. Like, I feel like they're trying to scare us to staying in the country, and they're like, you know what? Crash this. I really feel bad for the people that is involved, but I really feel like they really trying to sabotage us leaving the country. But look, me, I'll book a one-way cruise. Have me a little vacation while I get the together. Don't even worry about it. Just leave me here. Leave me at the port.
If it involves a plane, I'm not coming. I'm not going. Like, this is the most cause and effect I have ever seen. You fire all the aviation workers, you're gonna have plane crashes. What's so crazy is there are people that are like, oh no, this is just, it's happening. You have worse chance of getting into a car crash. Yeah, yesterday, last year, it seems like we're not allowed to leave the U.S. I don't know if y'all have seen Leave the World Behind, but I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. And it started with plane crashes. All jokes aside, there was another collision between 2 small planes in Arizona. Just boom, boom, right into each other. Just flying right into each other lately because that's what the doing. And we have yesterday there was a Delta plane that landed upside down. That is some in its day. I'm letting you know. If it involves me buying a plane ticket, I ain't going. Talk all the shit about what spirit you want to. Guess who I ain't seen upside down? Guess who I ain't seen crashing? Not no fuck. If you need to fly, fly. But I am not the Eagles. You will not catch me on a plane. I am not Michael Jordan. If I can't drive or ride a boat there, I ain't going.
I have legitimately paid for flight Wi-Fi so that I can Google pilots telling me that I am safe when there is turbulence. I swear, every 5 seconds, Aaron Parnas is looking at me and saying, breaking news, there is another plane crash. So I'm trying to figure out, are we just all chronically online or are things actually getting insane? There's a work conference in Pennsylvania that I've gone to the last few years and I absolutely love it. And I always try to convince my employer to pay for me to go because it is essentially a free vacation. But I have not even brought it up because I am afraid. I have dreams of going to Europe. I have dreams of going to New Zealand. And I am actually at the point where I don't know that I will ever want to leave the country.
If you are unwilling or unable to assist, which you might suffer caused bodily harm should you assist or simply don't want to, that's okay. Let a flight attendant know. We will reseat you.
Oh God, I'm scared. Okay, I'm about to do it. I'm doing it. Fire it up. I'm going all the way. Shut up.
Okay, honestly, I do not know what is going on with the aviation industry, But I need some answers, and I need somebody to make me feel better about flying right now, because we're going on a flight to Florida over spring break, and honestly, I'm nervous with everything that we're seeing lately. I've never been a nervous flyer. I've flown since I was little. There was a period of about 12 years that I hadn't flown after having kids, and I was a bit nervous, going into that just because I hadn't flown since having children. But I was fine. Got on the flight, everything was fine, no big deal. I've flown several times since then. Everything's been fine. But I would be lying if I said that I wasn't nervous going into these flights with things that we're seeing daily. And I know, the logical part of me knows there are hundreds of thousands of flights every day. These aren't things that are common with commercial flights. We're seeing it a lot more because the media is covering it more. I get all of those things, but at the same time, somebody reassure me, make me feel better, because it's a little scary, I'm not gonna lie.
I think I'm going to risk it all. I think I'm coming home on the earliest I can on an airline that is not good. But with everything going on with the airplanes, I'm just like, and as a mom, you are always in that, I feel like you're always in that predicament of, okay, I need to be home at this time for bedtime to have a day with them. But that airline is scares me, and it scares me with everything that's going on in the world and with all these planes, and I'm having the worst anxiety. Okay, bye.
There's far too many airplane crashes going on to justify this being accidental. We have another plane that had a mid-air collision with another plane in Arizona. I could kind of understand the plane in Canada flipping over because, Canadians. But for every other day, a plane crash.
Why do the airplanes keep crashing? For context, I am an AMP, or an airframe and power plant mechanic, which means I work on airplanes. I work for PSA Airlines, which is a subsidiary of American Airlines. Our plane is the plane that crashed into the helicopter in DC. Now, there's a couple theories that I have for my measly point of view. One, there's not actually that many more planes crashing. The fact that we had one airplane crash and that it's in the news, the more smaller accidents and accidents involving small airplanes, which are fairly common, will enter the news. Small private aircraft, they actually kind of crash all the time, just because it's random people that do it as their personal airplane. They don't get kept up with enough. And plus, it's just like a random guy. It's like a car accident. It is tragic, but they happen fairly often. Now, with the plane that caught fire, the United plane, I believe it was, stuff like that happens more often than you would think. It's not as big a deal as you'd think either. Airplanes are built to where there's a lot of checks and balances. There's a lot of different systems. If one system goes down, another one will take over. An airplane could lose an entire engine. We'll make an emergency landing just fine with the other engine. They're designed that way. Hydraulics, pneumatics, every system has a backup. Now, another problem that the aviation industry has is that everyone is short-staffed.
Okay guys, I want to talk about all the plane crashes because I'm flying tomorrow from Boston to Puerto Rico, internally freaking out because I always freak out, not just recently. But let's talk about something. I see post and video after video saying, oh, another plane crash, another plane crash, another plane crash. But really, let's talk. Here is the data of the past 4 years. There are over 1,000 crashes of private small plane crashes every single year with 300, 400 deaths every single year. As you can see, that's horrifying. That's so sad. I understand that, but it's not new. It's not. Look at this graph. It's going down, but it's still happening. It's not new. The media is just talking about it, showing it to you, putting it in your face because of the horrific accident that happened in DC, and now yesterday there was that thing in Canada on Delta. But it's not new. People keep saying it's not normal. And like, I know a bunch of people are blaming the president, and as much as I don't like him, and I'm sure some of his actions have negatively impacted the aviation systems, it is not a new phenomenon that has occurred because of the election. It's just not.
So I just saw a plane crash that just happened, where the two planes crashed into each other again. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but it has felt like there's been a lot of plane crashes happening lately. So I just had to look into this a little bit more. The media has been doing nothing. It's almost every single time that I get on TikTok or Instagram, it's showing me another plane crash daily. And now there's been, I think it was 87 plane crashes in 2025. Okay, so I look into this more and I want to share with you what I found. So this is the graph of all of the plane crashes that have happened worldwide in the last 10 years. What is crazy is that I found out that this year has been less plane crashes compared to last year, and last year was already a low year for plane crashes. Okay, now, don't get me wrong, the way that these plane crashes have been happening is very strange. So, like, the big one that happened in January, that was the highest death. There has been no other plane crash like that in 15 years. So, that's what started it all. We've got plane crashes where planes are running into each other. They're crashing into each other in the air. Now we've had multiple of those. So I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is going on, because if we're having less plane crashes than normal compared to other years, why is it getting pushed out so hard? Is the media trying to install fear? Because I'm pretty sure that's working. Another thing that I want to say that is pretty odd is, let's look at a map of where all the plane crashes have happened in the world in the last 10 years. Oh my gosh, that is so weird. So you're telling me the majority of the plane crashes, literally all the United States. This is all the plane crashes that have happened this year. What? What do you mean? Why? So what is the reason that by far the majority have been in the United States? Why is it that they're pushing that we're having so many more plane crashes than normal when we haven't? The way that the plane crashes have been happening is completely abnormal. Something is going on. I don't understand. Please help me understand.
Why is this happening on the planes? It's not happening because of Trump. It's not happening because of politicians. Been talking about this. We just moved into Aquarius times for the next 23 years. That was January 20th. That's when you started seeing all these planes crashing. On top of it, our North Pole did tilt. So our universe has shifted into a whole new frequency. In this new frequency, that's where the old outdated planes, which I believe they are either the old planes crashing or there's something to do with the engines. I don't know their specific engine, because we see this frequency and they're not able to sustain in this new frequency. It's only going to get worse, because as we move further into Mercury retrograde, eclipse season, all these energy portals that are going to come in March, I literally see portals in the sky. I literally see kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, where these planes are going to hit certain pockets and they're not going to be able to keep the propeller going or keep the flight going, or they could lose in touch with the tower because the frequency of the communication. So it is the universe. Like, I really don't believe we're going to find like a thing with the planes. We're not going to find out it's this thing or that thing. We have moved into a whole new place. The North Pole has tilted. So as this universe, it's pretty much like going from Florida to Canada. You're going to have different weather, different people, different topography, and that's what's happening. And so even the gravity is going to be different. So people have been asking me about cruise ships and boats. I don't know, because as above, so below. And there again, it's in this frequency, and the frequency is also communicating with the towers. So then people ask me about cars. I don't believe it's going to affect the gas cars, but this could affect absolutely electric cars, especially as we go into March. March is going to be a huge month of change. We have Mercury retrograde, we have eclipse. This means things will be eclipsing out of our life, and we're in the year of 9, which is the final year, and we're in the snake. So we're going to continue to see this shift in the universe. They're going to have to bring in new planes or new way of flying, or maybe the engine needs tune up. I don't know, because this is times I've never even seen this. I've been predicting for 20 years, and I've seen all kinds of stuff. This is new to me too, but I've been talking about this. I talked about 6 months ago that planes were going to be crashing, and I do feel that more planes are going to be falling out of the sky. I even see new colors. I see new things. I see us seeing new things. I see us seeing new sea life, I see us seeing new animals, new plants, new things are going to come to the surface that we haven't even seen. It's kind of like being lost in space. Like, every day is kind of exciting just to see, like, what's new, what's coming up now.
No. Y'all need to stop this crap. What in the hell is going on? Why are all of these airplanes and helicopters falling out the dang sky? What's going on? I'm not understanding. Let me tell you something. January 29th, Washington, D.C., there was one. January 31st, there was one in Philadelphia. February 6th, there was one in Alaska. February 10th, Arizona. And then just today, you hear me? February 19th, 2025. Another crash. This one was 2 single plane engines collided mid-air outside of the Marina Regional Airport in Arizona, killing 2 people. You know what? It's too many in such a short span. Y'all need to get it together. First of all, I got a trip I'm finna take, and ain't no way in the world I'm finna be driving over 30 hours. No, get it together. I mean, I got some job training to do. You know, the people out here going crazy with this DEI stuff. I would hate to miss my training because I'm scared to get on the plane. But come on now. Something has to be done. I mean, yeah, I get it. Some crazy firing was done. And a lot of people in aviation wind up losing their jobs behind some nonsense. But at the end of the day, we got to get it together. We have to be safe. These planes are falling too fast, too soon, too many. Look at all the people that we've lost due to plane crashes. I'm not going to sit here and go plane for plane. And, you know, it's too many people, too many crashes. Something needs to be done.
Everyone's been so curious as to why all these plane crashes keep happening, but I don't know if any of you recall this clip of this prophecy.
The Lord said, beware of the attack coming under the ground. There shall be the greatest security breach we have ever seen in America, something that the government is not prepared for. It will affect banking systems, the stock markets, put a shield, and I pray that we put a shield of protection around every being in this room. It will affect hospital information. It will affect surgeries to where they're in there and somehow they're going to hack the systems where the doctors will no longer be able to see patient information. He said that it will affect flights. The towers will no longer be able to communicate with the air. You will suddenly see thousands of planes grounded all of a sudden. You will see it in the news. You will hear about a major security breach that will affect, and we don't have the fighting ability. America is not ready for this attack.
Do you see that? Like, that's literally all I've been thinking about since all this has been happening, and it's really insane, but I believe this is prophetic, and this is a warning to me. My opinion, This is what I see. I think this is spiritual. Yes, this is happening in the natural, but I also believe this is somewhat supernatural. All these things that's been going on in this world today, we are living in the end times. I will say it again. I've said it before. I will say it again. And now all these drastic things are going on in this world that we just cannot account for. We just don't even know how to measure or understand, because we had never seen it happening like this before. But we are here. There's literally nothing else we can think of other than a prophetic warning of what's to come.
You know, we just saw that other plane that flipped over, that other Delta flight.
The RJ?
Yeah. Are RJ safe? This is the second RJ.
The American Airlines one, the dude didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't look like it. He was stabilized approach, coming in and he got run into by a helicopter. It's not an airplane issue. This one, look, first things first. No one knows what really happened. Everyone needs to wait for the NTSB to get done, you know? But I'm speculating from what I've heard of all the chatter on the ATC and other witnesses. It looks like the witnesses in the airplane says the plane touched down hard and skidded. So what it tells me, and it had like what? I heard yesterday like it was 25 gusting 40. And they said it's a 40-degree, okay, winds. So I'm going straight. It's 90 degrees, right? 90 degrees. That's a direct crosswind. 40 degrees. So it's a quartering crosswind. So I don't know what their crosswind component is. You calculate that. Every airplane has a maximum crosswind component. You have to calculate it based on the angle of the wave. I don't know. Apparently, it was within the limits and he landed. So maybe he landed sideways, the runway was slippery, he skidded and flipped over. That's what sounds like. Because he hit the ground, it was stabilized approach and he hit the ground first. The eyewitness said that he felt the plane touch down. Because sometimes when you're going in, I mean, I'm no big commercial pilot, but this is the concept, right? The wind's blowing you and you're like that. You see them come in sideways like this, or in this case, he would probably be into the wind sideways like that. And then he kicks the rudder right before he touches down. You kick the rudder, straighten it, boom. Maybe the runway was slippery. Really strong wind, man.
Cars on ice with wind, like a semi on ice with wind.
Well, the telltale sign is that both wings snapped off. That means he must have to me, he's like, and then he didn't straighten it enough and it went like that. Just whoop.
But it doesn't sound like anyone was
I don't think it's got to do with ATC or anything. The dude was on a stabilized approach. That they confirmed that he was on a you know what a stabilized approach means? That means he was on glide slope, he was right on center line, he was stabilized, right airspeed, right descent rate.
A normal landing.
That's what a stabilized approach means. That's why when it first happened, they were saying we don't know if the plane was on a stabilized approach. Was he struggling to get it lined up, or was he stabilized? They said he was stabilized. So it sounds like too much. It could be wind shear. Right before he hits the ground, the wind's different. You gotta understand, right before you hit the ground, when you get really low, there could be wind shear. So all the wind that you get, all the data that you get, isn't the same when you actually get to that point. But I would think Pearson Airport has Doppler. Like you see in LAX, you see a little radar thing that's not like a dish that's turning. It's like a circular thing that spins. That's a wind shear detector. So you would think that if there was wind shear, he would have been told, caution wind shear. They tell you that. ATC will tell you, caution wind shear, right? Or some other pilot would have landed and reported and say, hey, right before I hit the ground, man, the wind just moved. Who knows? There's something, I think it's something got to do with when he touched down, he wasn't pointed the right way and he skidded and flipped. That's it. That's what I think.
Hey, are y'all okay? Are you guys all right? Because a Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines plane crashed into each other. And then a Delta Airlines plane crashed in Toronto and landed upside down. And just now, 2 planes collided in the air and 2 people are hurt. But y'all still getting on more planes. I don't get the logic in that. Because me, I'd be on somebody Greyhound, on somebody bus, Amtrak, car, feet, horse, carriage, something, anything but a plane.
Now, I don't know if plane crashes are just being covered more right now, because they do happen. They are super rare, but they do happen. But I just feel like I've never seen this many plane crashes this fast. I mean, like 4 or 5 in the past 2 weeks in the US alone? That feels like a lot. That personally makes me not want to fly. Now, would I still fly because it's the safest way to travel? Yeah, of course I would. But it just seems wild that all these crashes are happening right now.
So has there actually been more plane crashes than normal, or is our awareness of it just heightened because there's just been more media coverage? I mean, obviously the DC flight was, I think, the largest air disaster since, I think, 9/11. And then we had the flight that landed in Toronto a few days ago where the Delta flight flipped over. 80 people were on the flight. Everyone survived, 21 injured. And now Delta is offering $30,000 per passenger. Good faith money, no strings attached. So, you know, if you still want to sue them and take it to court, you can do that. And then I just saw news that there was a plane crash in Texas on the 18th of February, and then yesterday there was a flight, 2 planes collided in Arizona, small passenger planes like Cessnas. But it definitely seems like there's been a lot more either plane crashes or coverage of plane crashes. And if you are a flyer, a frequent flyer, maybe for work, or you travel a lot, does this make you anxious to go to the airport and get on flights? Does this make you rethink flying? And do we also think it has anything to do with, I know there's been a lot of media reports about the FAA and jobs cutting and DEI and yada, 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 all the political stuff, but do we think that that has anything to do with the plane crashes, or it's all just around the same time? Very interesting to keep seeing all the news about plane crashes, and it is a little bit scary.